What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the spot where we kick back and react to all kind of different things. Alright, so what we're about to get into today? Well, I'm about to react to someone else. Okay, so for context here, for those of you who have been following me and know a few things about me, you know that I am a huge Star Wars fan. Now, how does that relate to this? I'm also been getting myself back into shape, back into my mind. I love weapons and, you know, practicing weapons and stuff. And so swords have been something that I've been getting back into. I used to do all this stuff as a kid and everything. So basically this has been me getting back into my old passions. So basically I've been following people, obviously, who's into swords as well. So here we have two dudes. One, SHOGO Sensei, the guy that I've been watching for a while, and I've been reviewing and reacting to his stuff on here as far as Japanese culture videos go, and it's been fun. I'm definitely doing more. Then the other person right here is a dude from this channel, Sellsword Arts. This dude is hilarious, and he has a lot of knowledge about sword and swordplay and stuff, and I really like watching his stuff as well, especially some of the choreography videos they do, because top notch. They're just great at choreography. Anyway, he's had a long run talking a whole lot of crap about using a sword reverse grip style. And basically he's had an ongoing series talking about how it's useless, how it sucks, how you don't ever actually want to do it in a real fight. And then I know SHOGO Sensei's his actual teacher, his sensei, Seki Sensei, recently dropped, or at least a little while ago, dropped a video about how to use reverse grip effectively. So that makes things very interesting now that SHOGO has dropped this one today to basically react to everything that Sellsword Arts has to say about reverse grip. And the title goes, "There's a few things I want to point out." So I'm guessing these are going to be some of his rebuttals showing how it can be effective. Where I'm at on the spectrum, I agree with Sellsword. I've tested reverse grip in every scenario I could think of, and it's just, to me, it's just not as effective. But the three of us, none of us are masters. Seki Sensei is a master, and he showed off a video about it. So now I want to know what SHOGO has to say about, and what rebuttals he has to say about what Sellsword Arts had to say. So let's go ahead and jump into this whole controversial thing that's been going on. This is the first time I've dipped my toe into this whole controversial stuff. So, but let me know if you guys want to see more on this channel specifically. If you guys want to see more of the Star Wars content, because so far I've only been putting that on my TikTok, and more of content with me dealing with like my practice swords and stuff. If you want to see that, I'll throw it up here. But in any case, let's go ahead and get into this. Let's see what they got to say about reverse grip. Let's go.
He mentioned a little bit about kendo, didn't he? Swinging a bamboo sword in kendo and swinging these real katana are completely different techniques. But taking a look at the video here, the katana that he's holding onto right now doesn't look like it's made in the traditional katana style. And as for the katana, the reverse grip, yes, it does have a lot of benefits.
Okay. SHOGO Sensei with the rebuttals. Okay.
皆さんこんにちは and welcome to Let's Ask SHOGO. So you guys might know about my new channel Let's Ask Seki Sensei, where I collaborate with Asayama Shinryu and the headmaster Seki Sensei to make a lot of videos.
Also, I have been checking out Seki Sensei, but I didn't know whether or not you guys would want to see it. Let me know if you want to see me react to... I haven't watched all of his stuff. I've been kind of holding off just to see. So let me know if you want me to do live reactions to the videos I haven't watched yet, because I've been kind of holding off on that just for that. But I've been kind of unsure whether or not you want to see it or not. So let me know in the comments, all right?
It's about Kobudo, the ancient martial arts in Japan. However, in the comments, I actually have a lot of people telling me, oh, the reverse grip has actual meanings to it, kind of thing. And I was asking my friends where this reverse grip is useless idea comes from. And then they told me there's an amazing channel called Sellsword Arts, and it seems they talk a lot about the katana too. So today, I thought I'd like take a look at their shorts and react to them. However, one thing that you do need to understand before watching this video is that I have zero experience and knowledge about the longswords or like European weapons. It seems he talks a lot about the European weapons too, but I have no knowledge and experience in it. So I only know about the katana, so I hope you understand that. In this channel, you can take a closer look at Japanese culture, tips on travel in Kyoto, and social problems in Japan. So learners and lovers of Japanese culture, be sure to subscribe to enjoy more content. So then, let's get started.
This steel was folded 1,000 times to make it strong. It will
Katana
assure you-
versus longsword.
Your steel was found in a bog. The longsword is the height of technology.
I saw
Care to
this
fight
one.
each other? They're wearing tank tops. Ah, the reverse grip guy. Well, I'm pretty sure they know about this already and they're probably making fun of it, but as I explained before in my previous videos, no, the katana is not folded over 1,000 times. The katana is only usually folded around 10 to 20 times. And the 1,000, the number is the layers of the katana. And the sword action that they're doing, they're probably doing it on purpose as well, but you wouldn't clash the katana that much. You'll probably damage it a lot. I think the longsword would probably be stronger than the katana if you fight it like this. I think the katana will be heavily damaged, and the longsword would probably last longer, wouldn't it? But the last part where he actually put his hand on the sword to try to push back, that is a movement they actually do in a lot of the kata and the yai techniques that for example, I trained. So for example, you would draw the katana out like this, and then you would cut the opponent by pressing down on the sword, on the rim of the sword like this, and stab after that, for example. And already at the end there was the guy with the reverse grip. And because they hate that guy, they're probably going to be going and attacking him together, right? That reverse grip did look really weird. And also, as I explained before in my videos too, katana versus longsword, it's really a debate that doesn't have an answer. It depends on the situation, what kind of armor you're wearing, the level of that person, the level of each sword, and so on and so forth. So it's impossible to, generalize completely the katana and the longsword and say which one is stronger. They both grew up in different.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. The thing about it is that where they have the advantages is that the katana is a greater slashing weapon, while the longsword is a greater stabbing weapon. But at the same time, the longsword is designed to be much thicker at the base, so it is stronger in a clash. It would definitely damage the katana. While at the same time, you wouldn't really strike, like he was saying, you wouldn't really strike just directly with the katana at another weapon. You would want to wait for a moment for their swing to come in first to try and dodge, get around, use the back of the sword to parry, but you wouldn't want to hit with the blade itself against another blade like that. That's asking for your katana to get damaged. It's just not designed to work like that.
Different environments to suit different types of fighting, different types of battles. So they are both strong in where I grew up in.
Some people advocate using
there we go, the reverse grip.
An offhanded parry.
Oh, this is part 4.
That makes no sense. Reverse grip is only good for close quarters combat, when I cannot stab forward if I was grappling him or something and I had to hook. That's fine here, but it's not fine when my whole thing is reach and distance. That's what a rapier is for. I want him to be far away from me. Now, this is no longer an effective parrying weapon, it's a liability. Any parry that I take, I'm leaving my hand exposed. The crossguard is designed to funnel an attack down this into the crossguard. But in this position, the first thing you see is my knuckles. I can cant it this way so that it slides down into here, but that's an awkward hand position, and it's weird and hard to do. Why wouldn't you just do this? There's no advantage to this. If you're talking about hooking a blade, he thrusts at me, that's weird. And I've just hit my hand on the crossguard like this. Whereas if he does that here, boom, super easy. Just turn it down. Just use it normally. Just use it normally.
Normally. I think there was probably part 1, part 2, part 3, but part 4 was probably the most popular one. And in this part 4 though, he doesn't talk about the katana, he's talking about European swords probably. And as for the katana, the reverse grip, yes, it does have a lot of benefits. Now as he explains though, it is not beneficial in a fight where you have a very long distance away from your enemy and you're suddenly holding onto a long katana. Reverse grip, no, absolutely a bad idea. When it does come in handy though, as I explained in the video I made together with Sensei, often cases, number one is when you're really close to your opponent. And the situation is completely different because you have your katana in your sheath and it starts from drawing the katana out of the scabbard. A reverse grip can actually allow you to draw even if you're really close to the opponent. And number two, if you're going to be using a short katana like the tanto, the reverse grip will be very beneficial too. So I'm pretty sure, as he's explaining here, if you have like the sword drawn out already, and if you're going to be holding onto it, no, that's definitely not useful. But the reverse grip for the katana though, because katana, the fighting style, starts from drawing the katana out of the scabbard, there are a lot of benefits. Not just in Asayama Ichijin, like in the Yushin that I train in too. Like for example, there are kata where it starts from drawing the katana with a reverse hand, and using it this way to block a leg attack, for example, using it the side of the sword, and then flipping it over to cut him. So it all starts from drawing the scabbard out of the sheath. Otherwise, there's absolutely no benefit of trying to reverse grip a long katana.
People in our comments are all...
Okay, and to add on to that, it seems like he's more agreeing with Sellsword Arts than disagreeing. And you know, the facts are there. Certain times it's just like in a regular sword fight, reverse grip is detrimental. Just like how he was explaining and what Seki Sensei in the clips was showing, you want to be close to your opponent if you're going to use a reverse grip technique. It fails completely at long range. It's basically something that you only want to do once you've closed that distance. All of the techniques that you showed, even the drawing techniques, had to do with the person being right up on you, and that makes sense because, in fact, hang on a second, I got my sword. All right, here we go. Now, first of all, just a couple things. One, this is not a real katana. This is basically like a replica. It's not even designed the same way a katana is supposed to be designed at its core, but it does have the shape. So it's good for practice swings and, you know, and training aspects. It's definitely not something that you would actually use, not even in a sparring match or in a test cut. So, but anyway, back to it, like I was saying, if someone is up close to you, going the traditional route of trying to draw your sword and then right up on you won't work because they're right there. So that would definitely be the only time if someone is right in your face, not at the distance of a regular cutting distance, like if they have a sword, and I mean like right up on you and everything, to where they're just in your space. That's the only time when doing this would be viable, because you can do all kinds of things to block a very close range attack or pull it up. I think the issue with reverse grip is that it just fails in a traditional battle. It's only something that you can do to try and get a sneak attack in or something like that. I think that's the major issue behind it. That's how I see it, though.
I was telling you that the katana is much faster and more nimble than the longsword. But here's the thing, you're wrong. The katana and the longsword both weigh about the same, between 2.4 and 3 pounds. But the katana is significantly shorter than the longsword. And that's all in the blade. Katana also has a much more forward center of gravity than the longsword, which is closer to the hilt. This is intentional because the katana is primarily a cutting weapon. That forward weight allows it to be better in the cut along with its curved shape. The longsword is a cut and thrust weapon. While not as efficient as the katana at the cut, its double-sided nature means that it has more options in combat, and its long tapered point means it's much more efficient at thrusting.
Absolutely.
With the further back weight, double edges, and longer point, the longsword is faster and more maneuverable than the katana. This isn't to say that either is better than the other. They're very similar, in fact. But the differences in their design and intended use mean that they operate slightly differently.
Now again, I need to say that I do not know anything about the longsword, so I can't comment so much about what he's saying in the video. But I do want to say, first of all, he was talking about the length of the katana. I am very sure that in general, if you pick up the general length of the katana longsword, yes, a longsword should be longer. It's a longsword. But the katana, of course, has different lengths, and there are very long katana, like the katana I have over here is a odachi, which is 3 shaku long. This is also katana, but they're very long. So it does depend on the type of katana. Also, number 2, he was talking about where the center of gravity of the katana is. But that also depends on each katana, because they're all handmade. There are katana that has more of the center of gravity towards the tip, more towards the handle. It really depends on the quality of that sword. And please do correct me if I'm wrong. If you're a fan of Sellsword Arts, please correct me. But taking a look at the video here, the katana that he's holding onto right now doesn't look like it's made in the traditional katana style. The tsuba is a round metal fitting. The handle doesn't look like it has a tsukamaki, the strings here. And also the fuchi and kashira doesn't look like the traditional katana either. And the reason why I'm pointing this out is because depending on the size and the shape and everything of the metal fillings, the center of gravity will obviously change. So if you really want to test where the center of gravity of a katana is, you really need to have the traditional kinds of metal fittings and the decorations and the wrappings and such in order to check that, because it changes it a lot. And again, I don't know about the longsword, but for the katana too, yes, if the center of gravity is closer to the handle, it does mean that it is easier to handle. If you're, for example, going to be doing tameshigiri, the mat cutting and such, if you want to choose a katana that's easier for it to handle, you should choose one that has the center of gravity closer to the handle, absolutely. And the thing that he pointed out about the thrusting, the katana is absolutely not the best weapon for thrusting at all because it is curved. Again, it's stronger for the cutting, and of course there are thrusting techniques in katana too, but compared to straight swords, it's absolutely not as strong.
Whenever we do a sword video, we get people in the
And to add on to that, throw my little 2 cents in there, he's absolutely right. In practice, but for one, the thrusting techniques, yeah, there's a German longsword, you can be really long range and get a good thrusting technique. The katana definitely requires you to close the space in order for it to be effective. But the whole center of gravity thing, I feel like that just really, just like he was saying, the design of the sword, there's so many different types of katana and types of longswords. I know he doesn't know much about it, but there's a lot of different type of longswords that have come about throughout history and everything. So depending on the design and which type of longsword you're talking about, and not to mention who put it together, because different blacksmiths work slightly differently. So I think that while there might be a universal truth, a small universal truth between the difference in the center of gravity between a longsword and a katana, it still has a lot of variables that can throw that off. So it's not really just a one-to-one comparison.
Another katana
telling
versus
me
longsword.
that, well, you're only using a European style sword. A katana can make that move work. And here's the thing.
Oh, there's a lot of people who are
These two
fans of
swords
katana.
fight almost exactly the same.
Really?
Of course, there's some differences. This is a double-bladed weapon. It is a balance between cut and thrust. While this is a single-bladed weapon, it more heavily focuses on the cut, but it can thrust.
Yes,
but the principle of this weapon is the same. It is a leverage-based weapon. And what I mean is, both of them have an elongated handle, and they employ a push and pull motion to create force.
Okay.
If you train in longsword, you can pick up one of these and functionally do all the moves you can do with
Really?
this. Same thing. If you
I'll look
train
to try
kendo or some other katana-based martial art, you can pick up this and fight
Okay.
effectively with it. Because we're all constrained by the same biomechanical functions, and we created the same weapons all throughout history. It's a really cool effect. Watch kendo right alongside Hema, and you'll see what I'm talking about. These are very similar.
One thing does concern me a little bit. He mentioned a little bit about kendo, didn't he? Swinging a bamboo sword in kendo and swinging these real katana are completely different techniques. Because a shinai, the bamboo swords that you use in kendo for competitions, are completely straight, they're not curved, they're much lighter, and the way you swing them are completely different. The katana-related martial arts like iai, kenjutsu, and such, the purpose is to cut through something. But in kendo, it is to bounce your sword back and hit something. Cutting through something and hitting something are completely different. So if you take a look at videos of people, for example, doing the basic suburi, just the swinging, kendo and iai look completely different, right? I don't know, maybe the longsword, you do actually handle it like you do in kendo, you like hit and bring the sword back kind of thing, but if you're really talking about actually cutting something with these katana, the kendo techniques and iai kenjutsu techniques are very, very different. So that is one thing that I did want to point out.
Another myth we hear a lot.
Another katana.
Okay, and one thing I would like to point out in there is like, yeah, he's right about the difference between practice weapons, actual weapons, kendo sticks, and everything. Everything offers a little bit of difference, so you always have to make those adjustments. But Sellsword Arts, I still feel that they're right in what they're saying about the similarities. How all the weapons across the board have similarities to them that make them kind of universal. In fact, it's like to say, if you want to learn how to use every weapon, learn how to use a staff. Learn how to use a staff with both hands, single hand, all that stuff, and then you'll be able to pick up almost every single weapon. And there's a lot of truth to that. So yeah, there's a lot of universal things when it comes down to our basic motor functions with how we move our hands and how we handle weapons. So yeah, I think they both are making really great points in this video. I'm loving this.
Versus longsword. Everyone loves this question.
That the katana is made for unarmored combat, where the longsword is made to deal with opponents in armor. But here's the thing, you're wrong again. And here's why. Neither of these swords are good against armor. In fact, no sword is good against an armored opponent. That's because armor cannot be cut through with a sword. That's purely fantasy. There are techniques you can use with a longsword, and I guess with the katana too. There's more depictions of it with longsword, where you will do things like half swording, reinforcing the tip, using the back as a bludgeon, and all kinds of other stuff. You can use it that way too? Degenerating into wrestling. But swords do not work against armor. That's what armor is for. The things that are more effective against armor are things like halberds and war picks and hammers. So no, not good for armor.
One thing I do want to say though is he was mentioning that there are some techniques that longsword could fight against the armor, although it's not the best weapon, right? And he said that there's absolutely more depictions about it. I'm very confident, because I'm training in Kobudo right now, that there's the same amount of ways of fighting against someone with armor on with the katana too. Like take a look at 6 Sensei demonstrating some of the kata that are meant to be fighting against someone who is wearing armor. Especially in this case, this armor I'm talking about right now is the samurai armor. The samurai armor, although it looks very heavy, and it actually is heavy, like 25 to about 30 kilo, there are actually a lot of openings on the wrists, for example, on the armpits and the legs. And that's because it needs to be flexible for the samurai wearing armor to be able to use bows and arrows as their primary weapons. So there were actually a lot of techniques to fight against armored samurai with a katana too. However, as he explained, he was completely correct. Is it effective? Is it the best way to fight against a person with the armor on? Absolutely no. It's your very last option to fight against someone with a katana. It would be much better, of course, to use bows and arrows, maybe firearms like the Tanegashima, for example, or maybe spears will be able to pierce through some of the open spaces. So you could fight with the katana, but would it be like the first weapon that you should bring out to fight with someone with samurai armor on? No. Absolutely no.
And to add on to that, when it comes down, I know he doesn't know much about the European armor, but even the European armor has the same exploitable weaknesses and a lot of openings. The only exception would be those fully like tank-like armored knights that would have like no openings on them. It was just all steel, top to bottom kind of thing. But even those were kind of sparing because of the weight of those. Like trying to move around and actually fighting those things was tough. And it wore you down really easily and everything. That's why it wasn't like everybody wore the super heavy armor. You know, that's like akin to like what we have nowadays with like the full vest, like the full bulletproof vest that covers you from head to toe, the super armored vest that we've seen in like games like Call of Duty with like the Juggernaut that comes at you, and then like real life examples that we've seen in like military demonstrations and stuff on these things. So. But again, those things are super heavy, and you can't just walk around them normally. If you're going to walk around on your regular day and everything, you're going to have regular European armor that's going to block the important areas. And just like with samurai armor, you're going to have a lot of the same exposed areas. So aside from the taking the handle and bashing them with the handle, the samurai sword would still have to look for all those same openings with similar cutting techniques. That just like how the longsword would look for, you know, stabbing techniques to hit those points or a place to like club them with the handle. So it all comes together. It's like just like Sellsword Arts was pointing out. We've all been making different styles of different things, but we've all been essentially making the same stuff, which is truly fascinating about just us as a species.
So that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. It was very interesting listening to his stories. Again, especially because I don't know anything about the longsword. I'm sure that people who train with European swords in Japan are very rare. I mean, we do have, of course, sports fencing and such, but any other weapon like the longsword or claymores or, you know, halberds and stuff like that would be really rare. I've never heard of any Japanese person doing it. I really hope that in the future, there will be some people who are experienced in both, like for example, Hima and Kobudo martial arts in Japan, who have knowledge in both fields. Because I feel there's a lot of misunderstanding on both sides. I don't know too much about European weapons, and not too many Japanese people have been sending out information about traditional Budo martial arts enough to the world for everyone to learn. And so I really hope that the Last House 6cc channel and the activities I'll be doing together with Asami and Shinryu will be useful and helpful for more people. And by the way, speaking of Asami and Shinryu, we have recently started online lessons actually, so if you're interested in learning Kobudo, Japanese Budo martial arts from the Grandmaster Six Sensei, please take a look at the description box in this video. And I'll see you in the next one, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. 皆さんどうもありがとうございました。
No, arigato gozaimasu, Shogo Sensei. Always great to catch one of your videos. All right, so yeah, that was fun to watch, seeing one person react to another about the same subject that I'm into right now. I know he was mentioning wanting to see people who are versed in both katana and longsword. That's kind of like what I'm trying to work towards. I have a lot of knowledge as far as like Japanese weapons go. As far as just like Asian weapons in general, the Japanese weapons, Chinese weapons. I started off with traditional Chinese martial arts. My brother's an instructor who started teaching me, and I gravitated towards like Japanese weapons and stuff and everything. I do have knowledge, not a vast amount, but I do have knowledge of European weapons and such. Maybe I should go for trying to become versed in both so I can do comparison videos. So you guys let me know though. Like I said, I've already been doing like sword training videos that I normally put on my TikTok and stuff, and I just didn't feel like it would work, you know, putting those on a reaction channel. But let me know in the comments if you want me to start posting that stuff as like smaller shorts and stuff on this channel. If you guys want to see it, I'll bring it. But anyway, that was fun to check out. So y'all know what to do. Go down in the comment section. Let me know what y'all thought about this one. Let me know what you'd like to see me react to next. Hit that like button before you go. Share this video with everyone you know. And subscribe if you haven't done so already. Alright? So, till next time, take care of yourselves. And I'm out of here.